Welcome to The Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on The Weekly, Unclaimed Treasure from Project Sigil. RPG book Tariffs, we'll discuss. Outgunned Superheroes, their quick start dropped. And Chris Perkins retires. So they have no recognizable faces soon at WotC. All right, so let's
monolith. Okay.
Let's start with this free, wonderful digital treasure that you can claim right now. So a Mimic digital miniature is available for the Sigil VTT. I will definitely keep saying it that way.
Digital miniature.
Yeah. So it's something that can be used in games. And so it's a Mimic. It's actually two. It's two miniatures. It's a Mimic and a disguised Mimic, a treasure chest basically, and then a revealed Mimic. Okay. So years of buildup, millions of dollars in development, and then they just laid off 90% of their staff and just made this a tiny feature on D&D Beyond, and they gave up the recurring revenue model that they were so heavily going after, but they have the Unclaimed Treasure Pack. So this must have been something they developed, and it was going to be like an incentive or something, and they're just going to throw it out there for free. I'll put a link to the Unclaimed Treasure Pack for Sigil, and even the free subscription level can get this. And all you have to do is have Sigil installed on your computer, and there it is. And so the other kind of, incentive miniature, the free incentive miniature, if you pre-ordered the player's handbook, you got the Ancient Golden Dragon miniature. And I bet everybody that went and spent the full price on the digital player's handbook are very disappointed that there's basically no way to even play with that thing. Very limited. Sigil is not supported. So there's very limited ways to even play with that. So I don't know why they, it was just like a half step and then, forget it. We're done. So very sad. So there's only been, aside from like the basic sets that they were going to give you based on subscription level, these are the only additional miniatures that are going to be produced, unless somehow there's there's a huge revival, or somebody buys Wizards of the Coast away from Hasbro, which isn't going to happen because they can't make any money anywhere else. But I thought that was funny. That was a very funny thing to just like, wow, they're still, and they're even like promoting it. They did a press release for this, just reminding us of their incompetence and how.
Yikes!
Yeah, it's like
I thought I was the sarcastic one.
Yeah, right. So that's just some silliness. So we got to come up with a if there is like continuing odd Sigil news, we'll have to have the Sigil updates. But the thing that everybody is talking about are the tariffs, and the April 2nd, we were supposed to get destroyed with all these imaginary numbers of that we're going to.
Numbers are real. Just how they got them imaginary. Anyway,
affect tabletop publishing. But an article on Rascal News talked about tabletop publishers believe that RPG books may be exempt from these tariffs. So for now, and this is all of this was written post April 2nd, but prior to the 90-day wait on everybody but China. And so initially they announced things like 54% tariffs on China, Vietnam, and Canada, which would affect a lot of publishing, a lot of printing is going on there. So Rascal talked to Maz Hamilton from Rowan, Rook, and Deckard, and they were saying that the RPG books should fall under the harmonized tariff codes, which would be examples of books shipped under either of these codes should be exempt from new tariffs, and will include both imported and exported products classified under the HTC under this US HTC Annex code. So a lot of fun tax code. So customs cares about what the item is and not what its intended use is. And this was actually talking to the head of Modifius branding, Samantha Webb. They're saying that the Annex 2 explicitly carves out exceptions for printed books, brochures, leaflets, and similar printed materials. And this includes things like children's books and maps and things. So even though it's not a children's book, or it's not, it falls under a printed book, so it should be exempt from new tariffs. And this is the code is also used for books versus board games. So board games are similar materials. They have basically card stock and paper, but they are classified differently, and they will be affected by it. So they go on to, Modifius goes on to say, we've been shipping these products around the world for a number of years now and have drilled down these codes based on freight forwarding companies we use and the guidelines for those codes. Webb continued. So the answer in reality and on paper may not be the same thing as what they're talking about. So what they're talking about, what may be happening, and actually the classifications of some of these goods may not be affected, because things like GM screens, aren't really different from like a board book, like a children's board book. So they could all
get prepared for the hate comments. GM screen is the same thing as your cardboard baby books.
It is,
right?
the ABCs, yeah. And so as far as classification for tariffs, it should be okay. So that's optimistic, and we will only find out, once these things actually
we're at the find out stage.
Yes, right. Yes. So if you want a book made out of paper, you can print them in Europe, or even better, if you can manage it in the US, or a minimum baseline tariff from countries like the UK, Canada, or Turkey. So like being a little bit more careful. So Hamilton also goes on to say, we are in a universe where what the U.S. government has said is no longer appears to bear any relation to reality. There is no way to say what with any clarity right now. This is what it says in the Annex 2, and therefore this is how it's going to be applied once the boat comes in. In a universe where government statements could be realistically trusted, I would be pretty much confident that right now books are exempt. But as it is now, I genuinely don't think we're going to know until the first pallet of books lands in the U.S. and whether it gets tariffed or not.
No, good point.
Yeah, so that's a bit frustrating. And shipping is always, my only experience in people that I've talked to are only doing Asian shipping routes, but it's always kind of like, the mood of the port, whoever's running the port, the current kind of temperature with the relationship between the two countries. There's all kinds of like crazy factors that go into how long something takes, what it's going to be charged, how carefully it's going to be looked at, right, and how much
palms.
Yeah, and how much the palms are going to be greased. So wargamer.com also wanted to talk a little bit about this before the news of the rollback. So talking about looking at UK imports are looking at about a 10% tariff. China looking at a 54% combined. So companies such as Corvus Belli, makers of Infinity, might see some significant price increases, and also because they're using white metal, and I guess the price of white metal is going up, so the miniatures are going to have to be more expensive just because the base material for them, not even the production, is. And this may affect people like Army Painter, Vallejo, Citadel, with that additional duty. And there is no complete escape from it, because if China continues to get hit, 3D printers and the resin is all coming from China. So it might be a much less cost-effective alternative to just buying miniatures. So their advice during the unsure times is consider purchasing from your local game stores to help them navigate these changes and this kind of transitional period. But we had news just a few days ago, sweeping reciprocal tariffs the U.S. imposed have been rolled back or just paused for 90 days. But that doesn't include the 125% tariff on Chinese goods. I think they should just say 1 billion kajillion to really scare them. They should say a billion kajillion, something, and that would put the fear in them, I think.
Would it?
But and you just get all this like wacky talk. So the China as the bad actor, and basically it kind of feels like, I don't know if this was the intent, but it feels like U.S. steps forward, imposes all these tariffs. The rest of the world steps forward and said, we're going to reciprocate. And then all at the same time, the whole world takes a step back, and China is the only one still stepping forward saying, we're going to reciprocate. And everyone's like, oh, no, we're totally not going to. And so it was easy to put a spotlight on China. It's like, oh, see, these are the bad guys because they are going to actually try to compete with us, and they're not going to take our bullshit. Yes, so Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on X, of course, said China is the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world, and they are the biggest source of the U.S. trade problem. And indeed, they are a problem for the rest of the world, or so we would like you to believe. So it's gonna be the source. And so much stuff. GW has a considerable portion of things now being printed in China. I don't know. I think they're miniatures maybe still in the UK, but so much of their terrain and their books and everything, those really overpriced rule books are printed in China now. And it's horrible because the they don't have the quality control.
Well, but I mean, like, do they have the ability to print them in the UK?
Yeah, that's true. Well, they used to, but maybe it is too expensive. It all used to be UK. That happened around the time of Kill Team. Like once they were experimenting with Kill Team and they did that terrain that was like kind of, well, this is a different kind of plastic, like a harder like ABS kind of plastic. This is a weird kind of plastic. China. And then it started to, things would have dual, you printed in UK and China, and then a lot of stuff just switched over to China, especially their board game stuff. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We don't know what the reality of any of this is, if this is all just some, fake outs, this is a bluff, what the hell is even going on? But it's sure causing plenty of
idiocy,
distress, especially for just like the simple pleasures of your hobby are now going to be doubled. And who knows, like how scalpers and a lot of the after market sales are going to take advantage of this as well. It's going to be ugly, but we'll keep you updated on what people are saying. We got another 90 days. We'll update you in 90 days.
Just stop by GW.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for Outgunned Superheroes?
No.
Oh, no. We haven't even got Outgunned Adventures yet. Come on.
It's
Two Little Mice.
Just got an email today. Outgunned Adventures is like, they're like a month ahead in their shipping.
Yeah. No,
so they by the end of April.
They actually, for their crowdfunders, and because they produce a lot of stuff, it's very high quality. And I hope that's not one of the companies, hit heavily by these Tariff games, because
no matter what company it is.
They produce such nice quality stuff that if they have to step back, if they're just like, okay, we're going to have to take a step back in how we produce these things, because the prices are going to be out of reach. But there is a quick start available now. I'll put a link to that. Crowdfunding is going to be in May, and this is going to be a standalone, but also kind of an expansion to Outgunned itself. Protect the city from an army of robots in this quick start. So it's going to be pre-gen characters in a quick start, and there are already 2,661 people plus myself waiting for this crowdfunding.
So 2,660.
So it's you and.
Oh, right. Okay.
So the world needs you out there. It's full of criminal bosses in white suits and CEOs with no remorse who get rich on the backs of honest citizens, of doctors and professors who dress like animals and act as if they have the right to destroy the city in the middle of rush hour, of haywire artificial intelligences, plum-faced aliens who have decided that there is too much humanity in the universe, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. But even in the darkest hour, the good people of the world can always look up in the sky in hope. What is it they see? A bird? A plane? No. It's you. That would be you. So a cinematic game inspired by classic superhero genre, and they're leaning kind of really heavy into the MCU look. The logos and the their character art,
presentation.
Yeah. It's all very much like that. So play your own kind of MCU as we watch the MCU kind of struggle and die. So this is a genre book for the Outgunned line, standalone, or as you consider it, also an expansion. Uses the same director's cut system, which is small D6 die pools, but you're not rolling successes or highest possible. You're rolling 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind for difficulty. You're matching numbers, Yahtzee style. Yeah. So after the success of Outgunned and Outgunned Adventures, they invite you to try superheroes. So just looking at the quick start, there's almost no learning curve into it. Just adding, super abilities, and instead of you being knocked out unconscious, when you lose all your grit, you lose your superpower. So it's really nice, just like they did with the Flicks books, where they kind of change genre just by changing the character sheet. This setting really easily lends itself to what they set up already for their action movie system. So this the free quick start that they're offering, it's available now on drive-through. And so you can give that a shot. So I don't know. They produce really nice books, but I'm already going to be like one whole setting behind. We played the quick start for Outgunned Adventure, and that's nice. It changes the system, simplifies it a little bit, but we're going to get people to play superheroes? I don't know. It seems like a harder sell, and the only thing that I'm worried about with superheroes is there's already been so much good parody. All the Ben Edlund, like the Tick and Venture Brothers, like there's such good superhero parody. How can you stop?
That's how you use it.
Yeah, how can you stop it from going into that where everyone has the cheesy names?
Well, you don't. You do Outgunned.
Right.
You combine it with Outgunned Adventure, and then you combine it with Outgunned Superheroes, and you run Venture Brothers.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Together, right? Oh, that's what they've been doing this whole time. We've figured out their plan. They're just making a Venture Brothers role-playing universe. We should have known. Actually, that would be pretty easy to stat that out, wouldn't it?
Okay. For a long time, I've thought about doing a game based on Venture Brothers where you're playing the Monarch's henchmen.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to infiltrate the Venture compound. And so
Nice.
it's like, I thought that would be like hilarious. Of course, everyone's going to like die at the end because of Brock and Samson, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, okay.
You're just avoiding Brock.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole point of the game. You're just like, whoa, all right. No, I think I like systems, or I like what Two Little Mice is doing where, okay, we have this system, here's kind of what it does, we know its strengths and weaknesses, and with a few tweaks, it's kind of a new genre.
Right.
I mean, like, not completely new, but I don't know. Okay. I complain a lot about D20 systems, right? Because it seems like the D20 systems I look at, they don't change. Okay, the fear is you don't change enough to make it feel appropriate for the genre. Hopefully Two Little Mice has done this, and it seems like based on their previous books, like a couple little tweaks, you're like, oh, okay, even though everything is basically mechanically the same, the way you've worded this, or the slightly different effect that this mechanic has, yes, it really feels like we're playing a pulp adventure game or a superhero game, right?
Yeah, and the types of roles the characters can take, kind of pushes it one way or another.
And you can even change you wouldn't have to even change like the skills, right? I mean, like they work exactly the same way. Like I forget, there was like an old Cortex, before Cortex Prime, there was like a Cortex Hacker's Guide, and there was a really good kind of multi-page article on just the difference between the names for things, right? Like tech is very different from hacking, right? Where like fight is very different from killer, right?
Right.
Even just sort of surface changes like that completely changes the feeling and tone of a game.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I'm curious to see. So they're really going into playing a hero, but I wonder if they're also going to say, and here's the villain version of that. Like if. Well, no, because it's basically the same thing. Like mechanically, I don't think it'd be any different, but it would be like but setting up your evil plans or whatever. Like what your motivation would be is aside from protecting people. Like where you would be turning it. But I wonder if that's because these crowdfunders do grow in kind of scale. And I wonder if they have that kind of waiting to unlock. Because it does seem like an obvious thing. It's like, well, yeah, so then how do we play? Or, even having a mechanic where a hero is drawn into, becomes a member of the Legion of Doom or whatever because of something.
You're now an NPC. Right? That's how it works. You're an NPC now, right? Yeah.
Right. But if you are looking for quick starts just to try, Modifius is also releasing one recently based on the Jerry and Sylvia Anderson British sci-fi cult TV show Space 1999. So they've got a 51-page quick start available for free, and this is the 2D20 system with rules and overview, 6 pre-gen characters again, and an adventure called Breakaway, which I believe is the name of the first episode, which is the moon leaving the Earth's orbit. Okay. Which it's a sci-fi that makes no sense, but the moon is just going to travel.
Superheroes make sense, right?
The moon's just going to travel through the universe and encounter all sorts of wonderful things. So that's one that might be really fun to try as well. That's one of my first my image of sci-fi is Space 1999, just because of the 70s.
I must be thinking of something different, because I thought Space 1999 was like the live action thing that lasted a season on Fox.
No, this is the 70s. Yeah,
I said marionette. I'm like, this is not what I'm thinking. Like, this is like Thunderbirds kind of thing, right?
It was produced in the UK, but it was free of marionettes. Yeah, so but this is I think it was all shot in Pinewood Studios, so it had that look of like the early Star Wars sets and stuff. So you had that same British soundstage feel. But this is it's what is it? Barbara Bain and Bela Lugosi, the actor that played Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood. Yeah, it was their kind of. And so the first season is real straightforward, and the second season they get a little wacky. But it only lasted 2 seasons. But the look and feel is really fun. So check that out if you're a fan. And finally, Chris Perkins announced his retirement from Wizards of the Coast, and he's leaving with a fairy tale ending. as we all hope to do. So yeah, so longtime creator and now creative director of Dungeons and Dragons announced his retirement. Originally, his pen name Chris Zarathustra began his career in 1988 when he wrote an adventure for Dungeon Magazine number 11, The Wards of the Witching Ways, and then he started to work officially for Wizards of the Coast in '97. So he's also the dungeon master. You probably recognize him also from Acquisitions Incorporated, the Penny PAX Unplugged or Penny Arcade Expo. He started he ran games for them until 2018. Beginning in 2008. And they started with 4th edition, and then while he was working on 5th edition, they moved to 5th edition. So a little marketing synergy there. So he's been at the company for 28 years and is happy. He's trying to put the nicest spin on this. It was the 50th anniversary, a new edition. I'm leaving... I don't know. You can really say leaving at the top of, when with D&D being at the top of its game. But yeah, he
can't hold that face anymore.
He announced this on Blue Sky, and now he is happy that he can enjoy D&D purely as a fan.
Sure.
Yes. So a little bit of message from his announcement. So today I retire from Wizards of the Coast after 28 years, with the D&D's 50th anniversary wrapping up and the revised rule books going gangbusters. Really? This is the perfect fairy tale ending for me. I can't wait to enjoy D&D purely as a fan again, knowing the game is in good hands. Really?
Who's the creative director? Who's the creative director?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we got an announcement. So see you in the Feywild, he ends his message. Yes, so he was a story designer on Curse of Strahd, and then was creative director. Was also a designer on Star Wars: The Saga Edition role-playing game, which kind of brought in some of their big ideas for 4th edition. So that leaves Jeremy Crawford as the most identifiable name and face at Wizards of the Coast now. I think everyone else is kind of newbies compared, because he started.
They want faceless newbies because they just want to have stuff made by the company.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's the thing is, so he started in 2007. If he's gonna, be stepping out soon, or they're gonna stick him with a project like Sigil that's completely a failure, and then say, okay, you should be let go because your project failed.
I don't know. I'm not going to armchair quarterback or speculate, but I mean, who knows? I mean, he didn't say why, and he could just say, you know what? I don't want that to happen to me, right? Like, I don't want to get stuck with something crappy like that or whatever. I don't want to get pushed out, so I'm just going to go retire.
Yeah, and as creative director, he was probably getting the bulk of the corporate bullshit, the political, stuff that was going on in social media, and having to navigate that with, making the books work.
Yeah, that's why it's just like, don't.
Yeah, so it will be interesting if they just have a bunch of nameless corporate drones now doing all their announcements, or models. They hire spokesmodels to do the new release of.
Yeah, I wonder what. Okay, they're going to have a new creative director, and that person's going to have their name. I would assume it's going to have their name in the book, right? Because otherwise, you get a book and it's like creative director, right? It's not just going to be like the credits of D&D 5.5 can't just be this big thing that says Wizards of the Coast staff for everything on the inside, right? I mean, I'm sure that's what they want, but... Right.
Oh, well, yeah, so he was only promoted to creative director last year. Right before all this revised stuff started really rolling out. Interesting. Yeah, I don't see any named new director yet, so we'll see. I'm sure they'll make or maybe they won't. It'll be totally silent. It'll be AI that will run their creative... I wouldn't be surprised. So our art won't be generated by AI, but the art direction will be all AI based. All right, so that's going to do it for this week. Where can people find you?
Blue Sky, where I'm going through step-by-step painting 2mm Marian Roman army, right? Which Facebook doesn't like. Right?
Oh, Facebook has nothing.
Well, the thing is, I only hang out in certain Facebook groups, and okay. Cross post, right? This is my little rant for the day, right? Cross post a couple groups, like in the DBA group, and everyone's like, it's too small, you can't see anything. I'm just like, fine. I actually deleted the post, right? Like other groups, like 2mm, like, yeah, they look great. Whatever. I'm just like, anyway, rant over.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing. Then I got to do my goals next. Anyway, so where can we find you?
Oh, so I believe next Tuesday, unless there's some major complication, I will be doing my live stream for the month of April.
In the month of April, too.
Yes, in the month of April for my single panel gag cartoon, Domestic Abuse. So that's Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch. And it'll also be on this channel for confusion's sake. And I will draw my cartoon, about a month of it, eat some Japanese snacks.
Not at the same time.
Yeah, not at the same time, and make the images a little bit bigger now because I realized, because they did a revamp of the website, and now my little 600 pixel wide cartoons are double size and they look terrible. So I'm uploading all new rescaled, which is good that I have like the original files in hybrid in 600 DPI, so I can upscale them to anything. I can make them a billboard if I need to. So that will happen next Tuesday, but happening tomorrow. Ooh. See, I promised these things, and then you never know. But we've got at least 3 players in for Fallout. So we're going to do our next session of Fallout. I think the mayor is going to take a break. The mayor of Free Industria is going to take a break while the others crawl around in the wasteland and see what nonsense they can get up to. So on this channel, so subscribe if you want to be notified when we go live with the actual play live stream for the 2D20 Modifius Fallout game. So, and if you like what we're doing here with the weekly, consider becoming a weakling.
The strongest of all supporters.
You can do that at patreon.com/upturnedtable. Tell us what you want to see more of on the weekly. What kinds of things? I guess it's going to be Tariff, more Chris Perkins farewells, and less Tariff talk. Yeah. And just let us know. And there's other tiers where you can tell us what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to support, as far as lore videos, reviews, flip throughs, unboxings, actual plays, all that good stuff. So Upturned Table on all social media, and that'll be it for this week. Yeah. We'll be back next week.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye.